Ladies and gentlemen, it's fabulous to have you here because today is part 3 of making the Roman Gladius. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to bring you along the day. I hope you enjoy. So far today on this Gladius, what I have done is we have started grinding it. I started off with the flat platen of the belt grinder, and I broke it down a little bit. Now, a really nice way to create a strong blade, as far as I understand, is to have a convex edge. I'm trying to take very good care to make sure the edge stays straight and work on any lumps there in the straightness of it. You didn't see that? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just finishing this 60 grit stage up. We've got most of this nice and straight. It's looking beautiful. Okay, one little touch up. There we go. Now we're ready to move on to the next grit. Of course, 60 grit is rather coarse. We're going to be wanting to go much further than that. So what I'm going to do is we are going to take this belt off and we are going to put a fresh 120 grit belt in its place and start moving up the grits. Okay, we are done with the 120 grit, and now we will move on to 240 grit and continue the polishing of this blade. It's going pretty well. I'm enjoying myself. I'm shocked as to how with practice things get easier. This is only the third sword that I've worked on, but as I've worked more at trying to learn how to grind and trying to keep things straight, it's going a little bit better than the first one for sure. I'm finding the process easier, feeling a hell of a lot more confident, and what's even better is I am having even more fun, which I wouldn't think was possible because I really enjoyed making that first sword. But let's do it. 240 grit, let's go. So we're now at the A45 Trizact. It's going well. Some of the things that I've been focusing on and I've found have really helped myself. I know it looks ridiculous, but what I'm doing, but I'm kind of lunging from side to side here, and I'm finding that controlling the movement of the blade from my legs is super helpful. It's helping me stay super stable. I find I have a little less control when I'm doing this, but rather if I'm moving my legs and just adjusting the tilt with my fingers and keeping the arms still, I've actually been finding that quite helpful. So it's really interesting to try new things and focus. I'm also trying to really concentrate on how I'm breathing as I do this, so I stay as stable as possible. Thankfully, one of the benefits of the convex grind that we're doing is it's somewhat forgiving in terms of the angle that you're holding, because that slack belt will tend to adapt. So this was a hell of a lot more important when we were on the flat platen, but for now, it's helping make this process just a little bit smoother. So I'm making sure that I apply more pressure on the thicker parts, even though we're at, an equivalent of 400 grit. Still, the pressure that you apply will indeed affect how the edge is thinning down. There are a few thinner spots, a few thicker spots, and so we'll work just a little more of the highs. Okay, I think we're done here at the belt grinder. And right about now, it is time to start the hand sanding. All our grind lines are currently going like this. We want them going like this. We were at 400 grit on the belt grinder. But here, as we're about to start the hand sanding, we're actually not going to start at 400 grit because we're changing the orientation. We're probably going to go all the way down to 180 grit and then work our way back up with the scratch lines going in the right direction. Hand sanding is going to allow me to true up that center line perfectly, which is a little more difficult to do at the grinder. So we're going to get everything looking super neat. And God, it's so much fun. So much fun. That is 2 hours of hand sanding on the one side, and that is only at the 180 grit, pardon me. That is just, there's no way I'm going to spend another 2 hours on 180 grit on the other side, and then the amount of time that it's going to take to then bring everything up to 600 or 800 grit. So what I'm going to do on this different side is we're going to go back into the grinding room, and I'm going to see if I can go back through the finishing stages, because there are scratches in there that it took forever to get out with 180 grit. So we're going to see if going back to the grinder and slowly working my way back up from, say, 240 will give us better results at the hand sanding. This is difficult work, trying to get this all finished up properly. Okie dokie, so that was about kind of 10 or 15 minutes in there. We're going to see if that saves some time, because I really think it wouldn't take very much to save the amount of time that I had to spend on that last side. So again, we're going to go back to 180 grit and start making the grind lines go this way. Whew. This takes its time. Tiring. This is 180 grit. Like I'm planning to go to 800. Oh my goodness. It is a lot of work. It is tiring work. It is difficult work. This is not as fun as the grinding was. Hand sanding is seriously unfun. Yep, I've said it. Something on this channel was not fun. This is tiring. I think we're done with 180. Now on to 240 for the exact same treatment. We're working on getting the fourth side to 400 grit. Now, as we sand this, I'm basically progressing from having scratch lines that are going across the blade or in circles or diagonally to having scratch lines that go straight down. And what I've found that's best so far is simply a hammer handle. I'll make sure that we're using a lot of water here. That really helps to see make things go. There we go. It's always good to speak English, ladies and gentlemen. That always seems to help things go a little bit better. Get the diagonal scratch lines in there, and then we go to 600 grit and we do the same thing all over again. Holy moly, this is probably a total of 6 hours of hand sanding at this point to go from the 400 grit going laterally across the blade to now 800 grit consistently going along the whole thing. And I tell you, this is tiring work. This is not the funnest work in the world, but what's really exciting, no, I don't think that's the right word. What I'm reminding myself as I do this, and as I see a scratch, you know, and this started off at 180 grit, as I see a scratch and go, do I leave that in there, or do I do the extra work to take it out, is I just kept reminding myself, for goodness sake, every single thing that comes out of this workshop, every single thing that's touched by my hands, is essentially the legacy that I'm leaving. And so that's a really fun way I've found of reminding myself. If there's a little bit I gotta fix, hey, this is what you're making is your legacy. And you have complete control over what that legacy is. And it's all down to you and the sweat you put in now to make sure that that legacy is what you want it to be. It's pretty exciting, pretty exciting. It's applicable in so many other areas of life, and it's good to take ownership, of course, especially when you're making a Roman gladius. I have never, ever in my life put as much time into hand sanding any project at all. And this looks like it's paid off. This thing looks stunning. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a nicely hand-sanded blade, and I'm certainly very proud of myself for putting in that amount of work. It's not perfect, but I'm pleased with where it is. Look at the mess that I made. Look at all the sanding paper I went through. I now have this little organizer here with everything from one... Just go ahead and edit that out. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it. With everything from 180 grit all the way down to 2,000 grit and all the bits in between. That's the first time that I've used that, and having that organizer, having all of that organized and neat is so useful. I'm really pleased with the things that I'm learning as I go through these projects. How long it takes me to make my projects? Well, generally what you see in a video is usually kind of 10 to 15 hours of work. I basically put everything that I do in the day in the vlog. Everything that I make that's relevant to the project, it goes in the vlog. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow on the next episode. There is a subscribe button right there. You can watch 2 more of my videos right here. Tomorrow's episode is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to be working on the guard, the handle, and the pommel. So I can't wait to see you then. So make sure you tune in, make sure you subscribe, and most of all, have a fantastic day. I'll see you soon.